welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to be filming a sit down video. So you guys know that I don't typically film a sit down video just because I like vlogging and stuff like that, but I thought that I would film a sit down video for you guys today. So I know, at least for me, school is back in session and a lot of girls are going through recruitment and they're kind of nervous with, how recruitment is going to go since it's all going to be online or on Zoom. At least that's how it is for TCU. So if you didn't know, I'm a junior. I almost said sophomore. I'm a junior at TCU and I am in a sorority. So I rushed my freshman year, and then last year was obviously my first year going through recruitment from the other side, and I have a video with like my outfits and just bid day, so I'll post that or link that video down below so you guys can go watch that. But today I just thought that I would film a video talking about like my tips and advice that I can give you guys if you're going through recruitment, whether it's at TCU or any other school. Just because I know this time is so different for everyone, and I feel like I've been seeing this video go around, and so I figured that it would be really fun if I can just help you guys out and give you tips. So that is what we are going to do today. So I have my tips like down in my journal, so if I keep looking down at my journal, that's why. But yeah, so we are just going to go ahead and get started. So obviously the first tip that I can give you guys is Zoom etiquette. So really being like acquainted with how Zoom works. I'm pretty sure a lot of you guys, whether you're going to TCU or any other school, know how Zoom works because a lot of us had to use it last semester and a lot of us are probably using it this semester for our fall classes. But that being said, whenever you are Zooming with an active, make sure you have good lighting. Usually for my videos, I like to get in front of a window. So the window is currently right here, just because it's like natural lighting and it looks good and it doesn't look bad, and this is like pretty good lighting. You don't want to have any shadows or anything like that, just so the person you're talking to can like completely see you. Also make sure that your camera is like pretty eye level. You don't want to have your camera where like it's showing like it's cutting off your head, or they can't really see your face. Obviously the face is like the main aspect of the conversation, so you want to make sure that they can see your face and it's not really distracting or a weird camera angle, because it's not going to make or break like which house you get into, but it would just be better to have a better angle. Also, make sure you have an appropriate background. You don't want to have things that are offensive, or you don't want to have anything but like drinking. Whoever you're talking to is going to be focused on you, obviously, but some things in the background could be distracting. So just make sure you have a nice background where you don't really have any distractions and anything that the active can focus on. I know that a lot of you guys are probably going to be back to school whenever you're doing your recruitment. I know some schools have already been doing it now before they went back to school, but if you are back to school and you have recruitment, then you're probably going to be doing it in your dorm room somewhere, or somewhere where your roommate's going to be there with you as well, and it's most likely going to be distracting if both of you guys have like recruitment going on at the same time. So make sure you're wearing headphones or noise canceling headphones. Like if I was doing recruitment, I would be wearing AirPods or something like that, but I have my own room, so I don't have that problem. But if you are sharing a room with someone who is doing recruitment too, make sure you have headphones, because it's going to be really distracting if you're trying to talk and she's trying to talk, and obviously you want to be focused on what the active is asking you. So obviously make sure your laptop is charged. You don't want to be in the middle of a conversation and your laptop just dies. Like that would be worst case scenario ever. So yeah, that would suck. So tip 2 would be to present your best self. So obviously if you're talking to any girl, you want to present your best self because that could be your potential house. But then again, you don't want to be fake. So what I mean by that is don't say things you normally wouldn't say. Don't dress how you normally wouldn't dress. Like, just be yourself, because 9 times out of 10, we're way more nervous than you are. Like, we know you're nervous, but it's like up to us to keep the conversation going and make sure you guys feel comfortable and stuff like that. So we are so nervous, but just be yourself. Don't be fake. Obviously, I mean, I'm pretty sure not everyone, but I'm pretty sure a lot of people wear makeup. So whenever you're doing these Zoom rounds, make sure you wear makeup if you naturally wear makeup, or have your hair nice and done. Just do what you normally would do if you're like going out with your friends, maybe like going to a nice brunch or going to dinner with your friends. Obviously, you don't have to go out and buy like a prom dress or a formal dress, nothing like that, because that's a little extra. But be yourself, and most importantly, like, When I talked to girls last year, not saying that a lot of girls did this, but like one of my biggest takeaways was from talking to girls was I can tell if you're scripted or I can tell if you're like talking naturally. I know a lot of the times like you get asked the same questions like, oh, where you're from, like what did you do in high school, and most of the times like you've said the same thing 10 times throughout the day, so it kind of sounds scripted. So I would understand those questions, but don't sound scripted. Like just be natural, be yourself. And I feel like I can read people pretty easily, and a lot of the actives can tell if you're just saying it just to say it or if you actually mean it and that's actually who you are. So definitely just be yourself, don't sound scripted, present your best self, all that kind of good stuff. Tip 3 is don't overdo it. So yes, we all want you guys to take recruitment seriously, even though it is on Zoom. Like obviously still take it seriously, but we are not asking you to go spend like hundreds of dollars on dresses and t-shirts and jewelries and stuff like that, because like that's just a little bit excessive. And obviously we're only going to be seeing you from like barely your chest up, so it wouldn't be important for you to go out and buy like a super nice dress from Rent the Runway or from Revolve or something like that. Like that's just like not necessary. So don't be going out and spending so much money on certain stuff like that. And I know at least for TCU, I think for the first 2 rounds we give you shirts to wear, so your bottoms don't even really matter. I mean, you could wear sweatpants if you wanted to. If that makes you feel more comfortable, go ahead. That would low-key stress me out. But yeah, and like obviously like wear like statement jewelry. I definitely would say like wear jewelry that you would normally wear. Wear jewelry that like would make your outfit stand out and pop, because a lot of the times when activists don't remember like the person's name that they talked to, they're gonna remember like what you wore or certain stuff like that. So make sure you're wearing jewelry that like can make you stand out and make you pop, especially since your clothes aren't really going to be a big deal at that point. But yeah, don't overdo it. Just act natural. Like it's literally just a conversation with like, act like it's a conversation with like your best friend or just a classmate or something. Like it's very casual, it's very casual. Act natural, be yourself, all that type of stuff. So this is like the last tip, I guess. I have like more stuff to say, but this is like the last real tip, is just to stay engaged with whoever you're talking to. So even if you can't see yourself in that chapter, or even if you 100% don't want to like go for that chapter, still stay engaged, because the actors have spent so much time like preparing for you and getting ready what they're going to say for you. And so it'd be really rude if you are just not engaged and you don't care what they have to say. I just feel like that's one of the rudest things you could ever do, because they're putting the time out for you and making sure that you feel comfortable, and they're giving you an opportunity to see if you can be in that house. So if you're doing that, then that's very disrespectful. Thankfully that's never happened to me, but I've had friends here at TCU who said that they were talking to someone and girls have literally went to the restroom for the whole time just so they wouldn't have to talk to them, stuff like that. I think that's very rude, and personally, if that happened to me, you definitely wouldn't be in the house. Like, no. Anyways, so yeah, so stay engaged even if you aren't 100% into that house or the conversation. Yeah, don't be rude, stay classy, not trashy. That's a model that I pretty much live by. I know my sorority lives by that too. And don't be afraid to ask questions. So yes, it really is like up to the active to make sure that the conversation is still going and that like there's something to talk about. But my thing is that like I hate when I'm the only one like pulling teeth to try to get like the P&M to say something. So I would really make sure that like if I'm the P&M, I would still ask questions like, oh, like what about you, like where are you from, or like what do you like to do? And for me, whenever I would talk to girls and they would ask me questions, like those would be the best conversations ever, and those would be the girls that I would want to see again, because they're actually engaged in like what I do and like how my sorority experience is here at TCU. So I feel like those are the best conversations when you're asking questions, not just because like you're asking questions, but it shows that you're interested and it shows that you're engaged and you're not worried about like, oh, like I have 3 more minutes left, or I can't wait to see this chapter later today. So that's important. I really like that, is like asking questions, staying engaged, because it is a pain trying to get someone to talk to you whenever they're not asking questions and they're just saying like yes or no, even when the question isn't an open-ended question. Also, another big thing is that whenever I was going through recruitment my freshman year, I would take notes after like each conversation or each house with the girl. Obviously, you're going to be on Zoom, so I wouldn't be taking notes like while you're talking to the girl. That's very distracting, and like you need to be focusing on what you're talking about. But I would definitely try to take notes like after the conversation with the girl, and maybe like write down her name and write down like what you guys talked about and the pros and cons, just because whenever you guys go to do your like selections or your ranking, sometimes you're just so tired you just want to write down like boom, 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 boom. But if you really stop and think about it, it'll definitely help your selection process, and it'll help you like have a better recruitment if you remember what you talked about and you remember who you talked to. And just the pros and cons. So I definitely did that like for the first 2 rounds, and then I got lazy and I stopped. But by the 3rd round, I already knew which house I wanted to be in. But yeah, definitely do that, because I know a lot of people do that and it helps. And I'm pretty sure you're getting booklets. Like I'm almost positive. I know if you are going to TCU, or if you're going through recruitment for TCU, I'm 100% sure you are getting booklets to write your stuff in. And if not, there's nothing wrong with like a piece of paper and a pen. So there's that. So other tips that I want to talk about is don't talk about COVID or quarantine. So this isn't like a written rule anywhere. Like no one's saying you don't have to talk about this. But me personally, like we've lived in this time period for like 6 months, I believe. And so we've all been going through it. We all know like how hard it is, how depressing it is. So when we're talking to you, we don't really want to be talking about like sad things like quarantine and COVID. Me personally, like I just wouldn't want to talk about that, and I would kind of like leave that out of the window. Obviously, like you're probably going to get asked that maybe, or it's somehow going to get brought up. So I would just like lightly talk about it, maybe start talking about like what you plan to do after COVID and after quarantine, and just like more of like the positive outlook. Or you can talk about like the good that came out of quarantine, I guess. Like maybe you started working out more, maybe you, I don't know, just positive stuff like that. So yeah, I would definitely try to stay away from talking about COVID and quarantine, because we all have lived it, and it's been a very stressful time for all of us. So obviously we don't really want to be talking about that. But if it gets brought up, just try to talk about like the positives of it, because that would be better than talking about like the sad stuff. Anyways, so next is follow chapters on social media. So I think this is really good, because obviously you're not going to be able to meet them in person, and you kind of want to get a feel for which chapter you may end up in. So following them on social media would be a good thing. And I'm not trying to say that based off of their social media is it like great representation of the sorority, because like obviously like that is just not true, and I feel like that would be fake to say. But following the Instagrams on or any of their social medias would be good, just because they're obviously posting a lot. They're posting stuff that you guys would want to see. And if there's a chapter that you just like love all their posts and you think that you would fit in with that chapter, then maybe that would be a good fit for you. Also, make sure that you unprivate your social media if you are a social media person, or if you want to. You obviously don't have to. But it's going to sound weird, but girls are definitely going to be stalking you during this time. And this kind of sounds crazy, but you definitely want to be stalked at this time, because you want girls to see like how much fun you're having even though you're in quarantine, and how even though you're like dealing with COVID, you're still having fun, you're still a bright, bubbly person. So they want to see your social media, and people love posting on Instagram for like a positive outlook and just like happy, fun things that they're doing. So if you can, and if you want to, make all of your social media accounts unprivate or public. That's the word. Make your social media accounts on public, because we want to see what you're up to. We want to see what you're doing. And also like if girls are like looking up you on social media, just know that like that isn't going to make or break whether you get in that house or not. Like we still want to talk to you and get to know you for who you are. So you don't think that like, oh, my social media isn't that good, they're not going to accept me, or oh, my social media is so good, I'm going to get like the top house. Like that doesn't mean anything, because we still want to know you for who you are and have like a really good conversation with you. Also, so I know for round 1 for TCU, you guys are watching like videos of the chapters, and we're making videos for you guys, just so you guys can get to know us a little bit more. But also like there's a questionnaire that you guys had to fill out whenever you were going through, whenever you were signing up for recruitment. So if you haven't already signed up for recruitment at TCU and you want to, make sure to get in so much detail with the questions that they're asking you on the questionnaire, because those questions are going to be what the girls are going to be reading for round 1. And obviously, if you were not very specific and you kind of just like wrote whatever, then that could make or break if you get called back for round 2, which kind of sucks. I get it, I feel it, but at the same time, just try to be as elaborate as you can with your responses for the questionnaire if you haven't already signed up for recruitment. So the last few things are just to be positive, have an open mind. Like, we are all going through this together. We pretty much know just as much as you guys know. So have an open mind, be positive about it. And this is so cliche and everyone says it all the time, but just like trust the process, because like you will truly end up where you're supposed to be. And I went into recruitment my freshman year with like an open mind. I didn't really like have a house that I wanted to go. I had houses that I would prefer to go to over other houses, which is fine, but don't go in there saying like I have to get this house, and if I don't get this house then I'm gonna drop, because you're obviously not gonna have a positive experience like that. And a lot of girls have been asking me like, or a lot of PNMs have been asking like, should I still go through recruitment even though it's online? And I think if you truly want to be in a sorority, like, go for it. There's nothing stopping you. You can always drop, like, if you feel like you don't like the experience, or if you feel like girls really aren't getting to know you. Like, there's nothing wrong with dropping and rushing, like, your sophomore year or later on. And yes, like, I know the times now are going to be much harder than they usually are. Like, you're probably going to feel like girls aren't really getting to know you for who you are, and you really wish things were in person. Like, I 100% am with you. I wish things were in person. But I think that if you truly want to be in a sorority, or if you have, like, this, like, the littlest thought about being in a sorority, I think you should do it, because, honestly, I mean, I'm in a sorority, and I'm a junior now, and I feel like it's so worth it, not just for your friends, but I've gotten so many, like, opportunities through being in a sorority. And I'm not going to sit here and say, like, why you should rush, or why you should join a sorority. But, yeah, and honestly, like, if you guys have any more questions, please, like, feel free to just, like, comment down below or contact me or anything like that, because, like, I'm always here. But, yeah, those are my tips. So, obviously, just, like, be yourself. Don't overdo it. Stay engaged. Have a fun time. It's definitely kind of stressful, but I feel like it should be less stressful on Zoom, if that makes sense. And lastly, just know that, like, the sorority that you choose, or whether you get your schedule and you don't like what's on it, like, those chapters don't define you. Like, don't let you not getting your top house define who you are, because 9 times out of 10 people don't get their top house, but they still love where they end up. So those are just tips. I don't want you guys to, like, be sad that you didn't get your top house, but you could get your top house. I didn't really have a top house day 1, but I did get the house that I wanted, so there's that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys have any questions specifically about TC recruitment, I will leave some of my, like, personal information down below so you can contact me. I would love to chat with you guys and just be a resource for you guys. But yeah, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in my other videos. Bye!